Okay, so let me explain. There's a lot of fun parallels between these two games. And I'm not saying Xenoblade copy Legends or anything like that, because they're still vastly different in terms of themes and all that stuff. But anyways, both settings take place in a world where land is scarce and filled with endless sea.
In a world covered by endless water, people are forced to eke out a living on the small patches of land that remain above the sea.
Both main characters work as young boys salvaging the tech of an old world. Megaman Volnutt being a digger who explores ruins, and Rex being a salvager who dives into the Cloud Sea. At the start of Legends 2, we're given exposition about a forbidden island protected by savage weather. It's rumored that the island houses the Mother Lode, a vague treasure that's like a myth among diggers. It can house unfathomable wealth, or be the salvation of mankind.
Has your research given you any clue as to what exactly the Mother Lode might be?
That's a good question. Personally, I believe it to be something of tremendous importance to mankind. Something that will help us better ourselves and the world.
This is very similar to how Rex explains to Nia that Elysium, housed atop of a great tree, is rumored among salvagers to house a world-saving treasure as well, since the land of Alrest in Xenoblade is running out of living space.
There's a way to get up there. Maybe it's hidden below the clouds. Is it really that crazy?
Seriously, though?
There'd be no need to fight over dwindling land and resources. No need to worry about our homes sinking away. Everyone could have peace and security.
So our two main characters are given a mission in the beginning, and early on in their respective games they meet a girl. Rex then dies. Trigger dies later. But both are conscious in their near-death states. Okay, this one's a little funny coincidence, but they're given their goals to reach Elysium in their respective scenarios. So you go on your adventures where the main characters are fighting off would-be thieves. Everyone wants to take Pyra, also known as the Aegis, because she's an ultimate weapon, but it's also a little more complicated. See, even though Pyra manifested from the Core Crystal, her original form is actually Mithra. And Mithra created Pyra as a facade because she accidentally destroyed one of the Titans and caused mass murder for a lot of people that she cared about. And the main villain of Xenoblade is Malos, who is trying to steal the Aegis. He is well aware of the destructive power that the Aegis contains, and he needs to steal her memories to gain access to Elysium so he can obtain the tools needed to purge the world. And in Mega Man Legends 2, the main villain is actually the girl you find on the island. Her name is Sarah, and she tasks you to find the keys to Elysium with the lie that the Mother Lode is up there, but in actuality, she wants to go back to Elysium to start something called the Carbon Reinitialization Program, a weapon used to purge the world and restore the Ancients. And Volnutt fights off comical pirates who want the Mother Lode for themselves, either for wealth or to make their dreams come true. And after fast forwarding their respective journeys, Rex reaches Elysium, only to find out that it's the desolate ruins of our humanity that are long gone. It's not as somber when Volnutt reaches the space ruins of Elysium because he already knows it's simply desolate. There is a residential section that has a similar landscape where humans used to live, but they're also long gone. So for the last two humans, they're referred to as the Architect in Xenoblade and the Master in Mega Man Legends. And their roles in all this world building is also similar because they both kind of literally built the worlds. The Master was immortal and lived an easy but boring and sterile life in Elysium. From up high, he'd observed the Carbons, the artificial humans in Mega Man Legends. In his words, he modified them and watched them live day to day and survive through hunger, disease, and age. And the Master learned that because of these hardships, they understood what true happiness was about. So the Master went down to visit them himself while bringing Mega Man Trigger, and from that experience, he asked Trigger to shut down the system designed to purge all the Carbons and restore the ancient true humans should the Master ever die. And shortly after this visit, the Master does indeed die, since he couldn't survive outside of Elysium. And these two young girls named Sarah and Yuna were created by the Master to facilitate the system after his death.
By the way, Yuna is using Royal Casket's mom's body for reasons.
Yuna would try to fight Trigger, but eventually figure out what he was doing, so she took a neutral stance. But Sarah's loyalty to the system was too strong, and she tried to carry out the Master's instructions, not knowing that her creator wanted it to be shut down. Now, the Architect in Xenoblade is more of a god due to an experiment. He created the core crystals which contained biological information to recreate life, and these core crystals formed the large titans that acted as landmasses, and from there life naturally evolved until humanity sprung up. Worried, he created blades to help develop bonds with these humans, and help steer them away from making the same mistakes as his humanity. mistakes that resulted in a global war that left the Earth nearly uninhabitable.
By the way, the world in Mega Man Legends is also mostly drowned in sea due to war, but we never got to see this event. Mega Man ZX Advent serves to bridge the gap in a timeline, but it's also the last game that was released right before the Great Mega Man saturation forced almost all the franchises to pause.
So anyways, despite the blades, the architect watched as humanity's ugly side rose up, so he did nothing when Amalthus, a religious figure who had nothing but hatred due to experiencing the ugliness of this new civilization, arrived at Elysium and took what he found, core crystals from the conduit. Blades take on their drivers when they manifest, so when Amalthus activated the crystal that resulted in Malus's creation, so all these ugly emotions from Amalthus literally created Malus's drive and motivation to purge humanity. He was revenge incarnate. But see, the other core crystal was with Rex, who manifested Pyra. And Rex, despite his hardships growing up, had an unrelenting drive to make this world better, and to make people happy regardless. So after testing Rex's resolve, the architect decided to help lead the party to stop Malus before he can destroy the world. So you see, these two final humans, they create these civilizations, and literally as a final gift, they give the respective protagonists full access to Elysium. Very specific parallel. And both will shortly die, but have faith in the respective protagonists that they will save their creations and lead these artificial civilizations to a path of salvation. And I just gotta love these final boss fights for these games. Malus isn't evil per se, he's just driven by the hate from Amalthus. He says so himself, and he has no power to fight against it. He's just driven by pure angry instinct, and he needs to be put down in order to be stopped.
Exactly. That's exactly it. You've gotten smarter with age, huh? I'm a wretched being too. A hideous monster, far beyond saving. So, let's end this now.
And Sarah herself is driven by the master system. She cannot operate outside of her parameters, and she's jealous that everyone else is able to do so.
Unlike you, I cannot act against the system. I can only act within the parameters it defines for me. I am jealous of you. You were close to the Master. You understood his thoughts in a way I will never be able to. Yuna chose to remove herself from the system, even though she is, like myself, Mother Unit.
But not only that, she never got to be acknowledged by her father, the Master. Even though she carried out the task that he had programmed into her, she noticed that it only made him sadder.
And side note, seeing Pyra thank Klaus and calling him father? It sucks knowing that Sarah never got to experience that.
So Sarah and Malus operate a giant mech and take you on, and upon defeating them, they learn the error of their ways. Malus unfortunately dies, but at least he goes with a smile on his face. Something similar to Sarah, but she gets a happier ending when her sibling Yuna comes over to chastise her. But after being stubborn for a little bit, Sarah gives in and decides to give this whole existing thing one last shot. And seeing them smile, come on man, it's like when Pyra and Mithra came back with a smile on their face. An honest smile, you know? Anyways, that's all. There might be other parallels and similarities, but they're either small or a really big reach. And I just wanted to fixate on the bigger parallels. I mean, this is what happens when you have fun sci-fi games that draw themes from Christian allegories. Anyways, laters.